I am S.M.S.T.Senanayaka under the registration number EG2020-4185. So the problem I am trying to solve is the latencies manual log monitoring. In a large scale system, identify critical failures the manual is impossible. So my application is automate this process using a real-time AI-powered pipeline. So the objective is to ingest the raw logs is using my AI model to predict their sensitivity and the route sensitivity and route them to appropriate department instead. That is my problems and how to try to I solve this one. This is my Wi-Fi canvas, so you can see that the detected graph in here. And this is a tail file processor, and it's data entered through this tail file processor, which is the Montava system logs. And then this is the exact text. It's usually then passed into the structured attributes. Then other critical parts of this architecture is the invoke HTTP processor. Instead of the using hard coded rows, so the service of the roles our system consists of the AI inputs. Then you see that the mock API interpreter to determine the servitude. Now I use the mock API to determine the servitude of the logs. Based on the JSON application response, its route on the attribute determine the processor determine automatically whether it's triggered to critical alert or move into the log in terms of the storage. Those things designed by route on the attribute. So the critical alert, it gives the critical alert, then otherwise it's saved the logs for the future. Then the last thing is that and then the output file. Let's see how that workflow works. So for that I mainly use that the mock AI API. So this is for that I only have the one. You can see. So go and send. So let's see. Now only have one. This is the NiFi workflow, and this is the I told that this is the input log file I use, and this is the output file I use, and this is the invoke HTTP that URL I use for the post request. So this is that I use that API. So let's see how it's happening. First, I put that I included that log like this is the database connection failure. Then I save this one. Then you can see this is the we get the second one, previous is one, and now is the two. So second response we got database connection failure to take some times to get response. So it's status error and prediction it's critical data failure. I paid for this one for the to see the sample example in here. So if I workflow, now you can see this. It's get that response in here by using the file processor and exact that raw data and JSON response and using invoke HTTP using that HTTP URL. It get that response. Then you can see that another response also it's came here. So then it's these are the things is happening, and then it's the critical issue. You can see that response is the critical issue. So error, then it's log attributes written. Let's see how that into see our output file. This is the now NiFi output file. You can see this is the output file. You can just create NiFi output. This is the direction for the. Then let's see that file. NiFi output file, and then let's go to our new thing. This is the file. This is the time. So let's see how that response. That response we automatically get that the output file status error and critical failure detected by AI. So this is the things I need to show. It's when the changes in doing in that log file, it's automatically need to read and then using AI API need to get response and according to that response route and contribute take that else the error critical error or not then it's saved that not critical error it's saved for the future works. This is the workflow happening in here. So this architecture provides three main benefits: scalability. So because of we add more processors for easily and interoperability. So as we also can plug in the use the other any kind of things we can add, and also the reliability by like pressure and fault tolerance features can do the reliability as we can see that out to fault that fault I saw in the earlier that finally enrich the log zeros on ready for the team's operation. Those things we can do here using this reliable. So this data flow architecture is very good for the data processing and we get adding some features. Those things we can easily do in real time. So thank you very much.